Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pies Presser. Look, we are still over a week away from the game between the Pies and the Crows, but there is still plenty to talk about. DC's been snubbed by the All-Australian selectors. Injury report has just come out, and Jack Silvagni expresses his desire to play elsewhere that does not belong or does not reside in the streets of Carlton. It's time to talk all things black and white. Good evening, guys. I hope we are all doing super well on this Tuesday evening. It's good to see you all here. I'm pretty sure, did we stream on Sunday? Did we stream on Sunday? We did a watch along on Sunday. I didn't stream yesterday, but it feels like I haven't spoken to you guys in genuinely a week. So that's a little bit of an unusual feeling going into tonight. I feel guilty. I'm almost walking into this stream with my head down, the hoodie over my head, my hands in my pocket. That's how weird I feel about this. But there is plenty to talk about and plenty to catch up with. We can talk about some of the players who played most of their season in the VFL. Those youngsters that we can talk about as their season is seemingly finished from a VFL perspective at the very least, and unlikely for those players who we're going to talk about to play AFL this season. We can also talk about DC not being selected by the All-Australian selectors, or the panel, if we want to call it that. Congratulations to Nick and Josh, who have been announced in the All-Australian extended squad. But for Darcy Cameron to not be included in this All-Australian 40 squad, guys, we know what Darcy Cameron's worth is, and we're not going to necessarily have a cry about the fact that he's not included in it. And while it would be nice for Darcy Cameron to have that accolade on his resume by the time his career ends, and it would just be almost a cherry on top to things considering where he's come from, not playing one game for Sydney in as many as 5 years, and then coming into Collingwood and being able to achieve what he has achieved. If you ask any Collingwood supporter, we know what his worth is. Yes, he might not be the greatest tap ruckman going around in the league, but he's by far and away, over the last 2 to 3 years, has been the best intercepting ruckman across the league. Max Gawn rivals him closely, but I would say DC gets the edge. And while, who knows, maybe they look at games like on the weekend or on the Friday night against Max Gawn, they go, okay, well, DC's colours were lowered a little bit. The reverse fixture, the King's Birthday Clash, DC was quite impressive, but then you look at the game against North Melbourne where Sherry dominated that first half. I wonder how far back the panel goes into consideration and looks into these games in the archives and has a look and says, yeah, okay, well, if we're going to pick DC, did he beat Brodie Grundy? Did he beat Max Gawn? I mean, we're talking about Tristan Sherry's name, but not even Sherry's name is in the All-Australian squad. So it's a bit of a funny one. It's unfortunate. I can appreciate the... sorry. Okay, sorry. So the flashing lights in the chat has brought to my attention that I did not congratulate Jamie. I'm sorry, Teresa. Thank you for the 2. And congratulations to Jamie. We'll get there in a moment. That was a glitch in the matrix. Guys, I haven't streamed in nearly over 48 hours, so I'm a little bit rusty. Bear with me. Benny, mate, welcome. Good to see your name, as always. Thank you for the 5 Pies Footy gift memberships. Welcome, Brent, Cook, Richo, Ben, Rupert, and Nick. So welcome to the members club. Now, so that's that on DC. Congratulations to Nick, Josh, and Jamie Elliott. I'm pretty sure, guys, Jamie Elliott, if we look at the AFL goal kicking tally board, AFL leading goal kickers, I would say Jamie Elliott's still top 5. No, is he close? Gosh, I hope I'm not too far off the mark here. Let's see. All right, a little bit. Okay, 5 or 6 weeks ago, he was definitely top 5. So it reads Jeremy Cameron with 83, Ben King with 62, Gunston with 62, Norton with 60, Mitch Georgiades with 58, Riley Thilthorpe with 55, and then Jamie Elliott with 52. So he could very well eclipse players like Georgiades and Norton by the time the final series is all said and done with. And I'd like to think that we can squeeze out. If we can squeeze out eight goals out of Jamie Elliott's name in the final series, that means we're probably going pretty well. I just looking back at the games we've had, whenever Jamie Elliott has performed very well and kicked a bag 3, 4, 5 this season, I would like to think from memory, and we will clarify this here. If we go here, I'll just reset this, and we can have a look at Wheelo, and Wheelo can tell us right here. Games where Jamie Elliott has kicked 3 or more. Let's have a look, okay? So we were having a look at the ruck a little bit earlier before the stream. So if we go Jamie Elliott, let's see. Oh, we've lost what, 6 or 7 games. So most of them are going to be wins, aren't they? Let's go. All right. So games we've lost: Adelaide, Hawthorn, Brisbane, 2-0-1. Okay. Fremantle, Gold Coast, 2-3, 6 shots. That could look. So there you go. The fact of the matter is, had Jamie Elliott maybe kicked 1 or 2 more against Gold Coast, maybe we win that game. That was probably that attributed to that first half debacle that we saw against Gold Coast. And then from there, you look at all the wins. If we go all the dubs, 2-1, 4-1, 2-1, 5-5. Okay, so you're seeing those numbers, but I'm looking at the losses now. 2025. 2025. Can we put the L's up here? So we'll go, just the reference point here is Adelaide round 23 to 0. Okay. So in the losses that we have conceded this season, that's 2, 3, 6, 8, 9, 11 goals. In how many games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 11 goals in 7 games for Jamie Elliott in those losing games. And then if we go profile, so 11 goals, 7 games versus, so 11, that's 41. 41 goals in the 15 games or 16 games we won, something like that. So it just goes to show if Jamie Elliott doesn't kick, we're probably going to lose that game, aren't we? Gawn, Jackson, and Grundy got in the squad of 44. I didn't see Luke Jackson's name, but I suppose Jackson kicked 20-odd goals in the home and away season. So certainly that's factored into the selection of Luke Jackson into the extended squad. Okay? Guys, I'm not sure if you saw, but Jack Silvagni has expressed his desire to move elsewhere. Now, he said, we will know more in due time in the next couple of days. So here's where I sit with all of this. If Western Bulldogs are to be eliminated on Wednesday by way of Gold Coast beating Essendon, that's where I think, if he is to nominate a club that's out of finals, because typically players don't, when their season's over, they don't nominate a club that is in the finals until their season is all said and done with. So if we see on Wednesday or Thursday that Jack Silvagni still has not come out and announced, I want to play for the Bulldogs or I want to play for Essendon, we could almost assume that he is going to Collingwood, is where I sit with all of this. Bulldogs, Essendon, their seasons are more than likely going to be over Wednesday night. Thursday morning, Friday morning, we should know a lot more about where Jack Silvagni will land, because it means we can put the line through Essendon, we can put the line through Western Bulldogs. The only other club that he's in conversations with would be Collingwood as of right now. Thank you, baby. All right. So that's that. I don't know if you guys have Oscar Allen nominated lines, but already, so not all. Yeah, look, it's a general rule of thumb with that. Maybe because it's Collingwood Carlton, it can be a bit more sensitive. Bailey Smith last year did the same thing. He advised the club he was leaving, but did not nominate Geelong till they were out of the race. So yes, sometimes clubs will be mentioned in the picture that are in the final series. However, generally speaking, the handshake under the table is, look, if you want to leave, that's fine, but you can't nominate this club because we're our club because we're still in the finals. Do you reckon we've got it? I'd like to think so, Simon. It depends what he values. Does he value? Can he get more money at Essendon and Western Bulldogs? Probably. We are a little hamstrung relative to those two clubs just mentioned. But if he wants a good culture, if he wants to learn from great players and veteran players who have been in the game for 20 years plus, if he wants to play with his best mate, Dan Houston, or one of his best mates, Dan Houston, I think that's where he goes. Actually, there was this really cool comment from Kelstra, who's been supporting Pies footy for since the inception of it all. So I do want to read this out. It was quite cool. Does he want to play with the greatest club in the land? Is a given, isn't it? That's always a given, isn't it, Samanaki? Yeah, and then Godzilla. You think about, all right, well, is he gonna go to Essendon of all places, who were just completely being derailed by injuries, and that's probably going to affect them for years to come. So I just don't know if that wouldn't make sense to me. Why would you jump off a sinking ship in Carlton? Maybe that's a little bit harsh, but they're jumping off one ship that is, I guess, being held up by not a lot left versus a ship that is probably already well and truly at the bottom of the ocean in the Essendon Football Club for now. Not necessarily by their own wrongdoing, but just the way their season has panned out with injuries and whatnot. All right, where's this comment that I wanted to read? Okay. Here we go. So from Calcium 1997, I have followed Jack's development since he began his footy in the Tackers, brackets under 8s, and I've always enjoyed watching him play. One memory that stands out is when he was playing in the under 11s grand final. He was playing in the forward line, and up until the last 10 minutes, he had kicked the team's entire score, both goals and behinds. His scoring run was broken when his teammates, centre-half forward, kicked a goal. That centre-half forward was Dan Houston. Between the two of them, they kicked the team's total score and brought home the under 11s premiership flag. The last time they played together was for the Oakley Chargers. As they were close mates, they would no doubt like to play together again. Throw in the Dacos boys, who are also part of their group, and Collingwood seems like the logical place for him to go. AUJ says, please let Jack Silvagni not pick Collingwood. Why not? Tell me why. Unless he really wants to play at the Dogs, getting no help from Jason Johannesson and Rory Lobb. Rory Lobb really struggled in that game against Fremantle. There is a piece to it all. It's like, we talk about the system. We talk about the system doing God's work as a collective for your side. So I'm curious, without looking too much into the Western Bulldogs issue in their back half, is it personnel? Is it system? Do you put in a Jack Silvagni into that side and it fixes all of their problems in the back line? I'm not too sure. I just think the way they play, they're very forward-thinking side, and they leave gaps on the way back, going back the other way to their defensive half. So that's probably what hurts them more than the personnel. I know Liam Jones had fallen out of favour. Once again, without me watching a great deal of that, I was surprised. But I think Liam Jones is a battler. Do they not want someone like Liam Jones in their side because he can't kick as well as other players that are playing in the back line? I'm not too sure. There's been a bit of media around Bomber's high performance not being a standard. Surely Jack wouldn't want to go there to resurrect his career. Yeah. That's a fair point. We can look at players like Jamie Elliott who have found ways to bounce back. Darcy Moore was hampered by injuries at certain points in his career. Who else at Collingwood has had some bad runs but is able to return through a good run with strength and conditioning? I guess we'll see how Reef and Harvey return. There's a feel good story in every high performance department. Surely there's something to do with Essendon's one that's let them down this year. And there's a lot of non-contact injuries, ACLs and the like. So who knows? Who knows what that looks like? Don't want to hear about Jack 2025. We're going for the big prize. No distraction. Had enough. Had enough this far. Bombers sacked their head. So back on track on that. Now, I would be concerned if our players were worried about whether Jack Silvagni is going to be at the club or not next year. But as fans, I think that's a really exciting prospect, and I think it would be boring and what's another word? Boring, stubborn of us to not have a conversation about the potential of what Jack Silvagni brings to the Collingwood Football Club. So it's simply just having one eye in the future, one hand in the future, and one in the present. And think about the present moment in the here and now. We're still 9 days away from facing the Adelaide Crows in a final series. So while there is this little break, I think the Jack Silvagni conversation is worth every piece tonight. What are our feelings toward Jack Silvagni? Do we want him? Is the name too much for us? Is he injury prone? Was this just a one season wonder? So that's what we're using tonight to have this conversation. Hey Chris, Anthony, I'm letting you know I had to put down my dog last night at the vet. I'm very sad and upset. Mate, I'm so sorry to hear. Having experienced that just a couple of weeks ago, I can say I can feel your pain, Chris. If you're in the Discord and if you need anyone to chat with, whether it be myself or anyone else in the team or in the group, then mate, reach out in Discord because that's obviously a 24/7 hub where we can all connect. So if you're there, definitely reach out to some of us, man. I appreciate you and sending my love to yourself and I'm hoping your dog is resting well up there now. Sending my condolences. Okay. Emma, great one. Jordan De Goey. At this point in time, Jordan De Goey has reaped the benefits of just being patient, adhering to what the strength and conditioning side have prescribed to him over the course of the year. He's had a couple of false starts, so it hasn't been all perfect and swimmingly easy for all parties involved. But as of right now, especially after that game against the D's where he has 26 touches, he kicks a goal, he's running through packs, he's clean, he's not fumbling. The best thing about De Goey's game, which is what you don't always see when he's not at the level of fitness, is his ability to run from one contest to the next. Now, you're never going to see Jordan De Goey run from one contest to the next like Nick Dacos, because Nick Dacos is just a kid and his gas tank is the creme de la creme. Whereas what we saw of Jordan De Goey, which you don't normally see, is that ability to run from contest to contest, and he will pick his battles, when to go, when not to go. But it was good to see that Jordan De Goey was willing to put the foot on the throttle, going from contest to contest. If he saw an opportunity that if he made this play now and made that run to this space, he will get the ball and he will be rewarded. So he's being smart about it. He needs to be smart about it because he can't go like a Nick Dacos. So that's what I love about the S&C story behind De Goey this year and what we saw on Friday night against the D's. De Goey's peaking at the right time. JSOS will get his body right with us. Oh. Welcome Mick, Michali. Mick, I saw you 100 subscribers already, mate, last week. That's huge, brother. That's huge. We've got a strong community. It's great. He fills the hole perfectly for us. Get his preseason right and boom, bang. Bang. That's Andreas from Black. Are you going to Adelaide? Have you decided? Schultz so far is a perfect example. Duct tape hard together. So we'll open up the injury report. Guys, should we read into this? Should we be worried about this injury report that we have here? All right. I want your thoughts. I've just read this just before the stream, and I go, Okay, so let's start with this. Jeremy Howe sustained an adductor strain in Friday night's clash against Melbourne. The defender is expected to miss the next 3 to 4 weeks. So, clearly, if we make the preliminary final, we're going to have a serious crunch time decision to make regarding whether we pick Jeremy Howe for a preliminary final, or do you ice him and have him hopefully ready and ready to devote himself to a grand final opportunity if that presents itself? And at least if you get injured in the grand final and it's a soft tissue, there are ways to work past that for one game. But if he was to sustain a recurring groin injury in the prelim, one, he'll probably play through that. Two, but then subsequently wouldn't get through to the grand final. I'm keen to hear what you guys think. Are you guys less worried about this timeline and think he'll be all good to go? He's done his groin twice this year. He did it once last year at the very least. Are you concerned about this? Or are you concerned about this more? Beau McCreary had his foot stepped on during the third quarter of Friday night's game against Melbourne. He was able to complete the game. McCreary will now deload and will be assessed ahead of the club's qualifying final against Adelaide. Now, is this us just being reserved and not saying with 100% certainty, saying, yeah, Beau's going to be fine. He's going to play the qualifying final regardless. They can go that way. And then if they just so happen to need to not select McCreary because he hasn't come around his foot injury in time, they're protecting that. They don't want to shoot us down while we're all flying. Not literally. But shoot us down while we're all excited that Beau will be okay. So I think that's sort of the route they're taking here. But I suppose they're training tomorrow. So maybe Beau will be in a moon boot, perhaps, just to deload that foot. If it's a contact injury, that's one way to deload it. Do they just leave him at home for a couple days? Does he stay in the gym and doesn't come out to the training deck? These are the things we'll keep a close eye on tomorrow. But yeah, I'm not too sure. Like, are you guys looking in the chat now? Are you guys more worried about the Beau McCreary scenario, or is it the Jeremy Howe one? Howe definitely gets picked for a prelim, says Ben. There's no tomorrow anyway. If he fails, still a chance for 23 other blokes the next week. Yeah, that's probably where I sit. I'd probably say if we had to make the choice, if Jeremy Howe was a game day decision, although you don't have game day decisions. You can select him and have someone as an emergency and then bring someone else in lieu of Jeremy Howe. So you could do that for the prelim final. You're probably selecting him if he's a game day decision. Like you can't sit on the hope of, if we don't play him and we play the grand final, he'll be healthier for that. It's do or die, isn't it, by the time you get to the prelim? We're trying to sort out tickets to the game, says Godzilla. Mello going to Adelaide from Mildura, huge. Not going, probably to a live show. It's the Thursday, bro. It's just tough to go to. What do we think about the Thursday fixture? Are we okay with that? I would have thought we got a Friday. I don't even know who got the Friday. Would it be Geelong and Brisbane that get the Friday? Let's have a look. Fixture, finals week 1. Okay. Surely, like, Geelong and Brisbane is a great game, but surely you go Adelaide Collingwood for the Friday. What's the rationale behind it? I wrote a jingle from Victoria Park to the MCG. We are dreaming of 17. I love that end times. From Victoria Park to the MCG, we are dreaming of 17. That's got a bit of a roll off the tongue to it. Hopefully I can remember that because I will reference that. That's a good one. Thursday isn't ideal for work purposes, and so every club playing on a Thursday would have to deal with that. Thursday for me this year have been a massive miss. Like, you look at some of these Thursday clashes: Richmond Carlton, Hawthorn. How many games do Essendon want to get on a Thursday night? Like, it's just, I was so hyped for all these Thursday fixtures this year because I'm just a footy head. I couldn't get enough of the Thursday clashes, but I've never found myself watching the least amount of footy I've ever watched in my life, and that's probably a lot to do with a lot of these fixtures that open up the round where they're just garbage, man. St Kilda got a couple as well. Port, North, Bulldogs, like, oh. So I hope they do something about these fixtures. I'm hoping they actually implement the play-ins at some point. They're doing it at VFL level. It's done in the NBA. It's worked a treat. I think that's something they need to do. I guess they wanted to have the MCG free for the Friday, easier to pack out rather than a Thursday. That's probably a fair point. Thursday's good for TV, but not for attending. Thursdays feel like the weekend starts early, and I'm with that. But yeah, the fixtures have been a disgrace on the Thursday this season. Thursday goes to first, second team finishes on top, get the most rest. Okay, so there's that as well. So because Adelaide finished first, they play on a Thursday, they get the most amount of rest against the rest of the sides that are in the final series. After Sunday, the Pies got to offload a bunch of players and start building depth for next year. After Sunday, the Pies got to offload up. What do you mean after? Voidod, we've got a double chance. So where's this Sunday talk coming from, and why are we worrying about that? You're confusing me. They put the best games that everyone wants to watch behind a paywall. So it's going to be on Fox Footy, is it? They're not going to put it on Channel 7? Surely they put it on Channel 7. If it's a Thursday, 100%. Hold on. Can we see it here? They will definitely be putting this KO. Wait, so will it tell us here where it's being streamed? So it's got KO there. KO. One of them will be Channel 7, right? Sydney had the third game in last. It's not always true. Is it a general rule of thumb, though? I thought they would have made Cats Saturday to make it easier for people to make the trip from Geelong to Melbourne. Friday night hard for the Cats fans. Look, there's always like pros and cons to both sides of the fixture. Game will be on Channel 7, champs. Shama, champs. All AFL finals are all on Channel 7. Okay, so that's not going to... Emma, it's not going to be on a paywall. Benny, thanks for the fire, brother. What are we doing Thursday? I know you have stuff cooking around in that head, mate. Can we make something happen? How many have we got in the live stream right now? Because I want to ask when there's a lot of people in, because we can be more interactive and we can get an idea for... It's a Thursday night. So basically, guys, the idea is that what we're thinking is maybe we can go to a pub. I was thinking a function room, perhaps, but if it's not on the weekend, I'm just not entirely sure that's the play. I'm thinking maybe a pub. My question to everyone here is: does anybody have a pub in mind? Does anybody have a connection where we can all come together? I don't know how many the logistics that boggle my mind and make this difficult is, okay, well, how many people will come in? How do we reserve X amount of spots for people at a pub on a Thursday night for a Collingwood Adelaide game? I'm just worried if we say, yeah, we're going to book 6-7 tables and then only 3 or 4 tables fill out and then we're cooked. No, it's not a general rule of thumb. Probably 50-50 over the last 10 years. If they get the first game or not, Sydney didn't, Pies did, Geelong didn't. Okay. Go to the Grace Darling Hotel, says Stewie. Can you give me a little bit more information than that, Stewie? Mr. Victoria Park himself. Mr. Victoria Park. Where is it? Probably in Collingwood, isn't it? Of course, it's in Smith Street. Of course, Stewie's recommending a place in Collingwood. It's not the easiest place to get to. Everyone over to my house, $15 entry in Collingwood. Yeah, Collingwood's a bit of a stretch to get to on a Thursday night. I'd like it to be somewhere where everyone can drive and find easy car parking. Only Saturday after 1 p.m. is KO exclusivity rights for Saturday footy. Champ knows. Champ knows. Stuff the pub. I'm setting the scene at home. Is Mr. Morse any good? I've never heard. Teresa, next year. I'll just. What if Teresa? What if the Pies make the granny? Are you gonna come to Melbourne and immerse yourself in the ambience that is, or what's the play there? Surely not in Perth. Come on. Surely not. What else? What else I want to look at? And I know it's not the night for the predicted 23 because we're still a week out before we'll do that. But where is it? Predicted 23. We'll have a look at a couple of things. We'll spitball. We'll spitball on who. Let's do it. Yeah. So who's out? Jeremy Howe is out. Jeremy Howe will be out. That's the certainty, yeah? McCreary is still sort of like a yellow. Rowan Steele. And then we'll take Allen and Parker here. So there's a spot to be filled. Thursday night footy sucks when you have to be up early at work on Thursday. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the Thursday night might not be the go. We're driving to Adelaide as long as we get the tickets. When do the tickets even get released? Because I simply haven't looked because I'm not going at this point anyways. Grace Darling Hotel is where it's at. It's where the Collingwood Football Club started. By the way, I know that all games will be available during the final series. I was meaning the actual home and away season. Yep. No, that's okay. That makes sense now. Well, so the question is, guys, is it just Will Parker in the VFL played pretty well? Yeah, he played pretty well without knowing what his numbers were for the game. Just watching the game when we did a watch along, guys, I was pretty happy with his game. His game was okay. He was okay. So that seems like the obvious in right now. You probably do something like this. The question is Rowan... Why isn't this moving? The question is Rowan Steele's position safe in the squad as well? That's the question. So maybe you look... See, here's the thing about Ed Allen, guys. Ed Allen had a great game in the VFL by the numbers. Probably had close to 30 touches. He kicked a goal, had a bunch of tackles. But if you watch Ed Allen on Sunday, it was pretty much it was the encapsulation of what is missing in Ed Allen's game. You saw it all in the space of 120 minutes on Sunday. It's just his disposal is not there. He did really well in the 20-meter sprint in the draft combine, yet he can't explode out of contests. He plays on ball in the VFL. He plays on the wing in the AFL. His outside ball use. He doesn't have a penetrating kick. It's not a grass cutter. And at VFL level, he struggles to hit targets and give us game-breaking looks. So unless Ed Allen is able to play in the middle where you can work with somebody who doesn't have the best kick, like a Ned Long, like a Tom Mitchell, then you could put Ed Allen's name into the selection hat. But I just don't think he's... Like, I'm probably leaving the team like this. Ed Allen won't come in. He's so clumsy. Rowan's kick is beautiful with Tim and Parker. So this is where I see the side. For the game against the Crows, if Beau McCreary is all good to go, I'd be happy with that. You know who was really impressive in a finals game? Joel Cochran. Guys, I think we'll see this name a whole lot more in 2026. Now, did we talk a lot about Joel Cochran this year when it came to the first team? No, because he genuinely He had a injury riddled pre-season. Will Hayes and Charlie West really got off the ground running at the start of the pre-season. Charlie West has got X factor potential. Will Hayes is electric, but you're probably only going to see that in small spurts. In the end, Will Hayes probably he had a really good first half to his season in the VFL, and I think maybe his body and the young mentality sort of weighed him down, kept him down in the second half of the VFL season, in my opinion. And you throw in a few difficult AFL games where it's extremely physical. I think Will Hayes will be better for it. But like I'm saying right now, based on what I've seen this year, I've watched a lot of VFL this year. This is my draft this is where it was at the end of pre-season. This is where I had it. This is where I had it. Early days, I said Westy will be the best of the draft pool. Hayes number 2, Cochrane number 3. Based on what I've seen now, I'm going Cochrane number 2. Why do I like Cochrane? I like his speed is a point. His speed at his height is a massive point of difference. Where he was at the start of the year, really clunky, didn't look composed, looked a bit out of it, and then he really quickly grew into what his strengths were at VFL level. That's what has me putting Joel Cochrane at number 2. Will Hayes, the fact that he fizzled out, is where I have him standing now at number 3. And then Charlie West still has that X factor and can be hopefully a 10, 15 year full forward, centre half forward for the Pies. Get in the Coxes. Stewie, I don't know if we can get the Coxie. The big Mason Cox played okay in the VFL, but I don't think he played well enough to put his hand up for AFL selection. He kicked a nice goal on the run, which was very unusual, but and he had some really good ascendancy in the ruck in the first half. But I thought in the second half, when the chips were down, he sort of wasn't there, was he? I'm not saying Cochrane is not getting picked for this season, but I'm saying he finished off his season really strongly in the VFL. If we get confidence in McInnes coming good as a key defender, why are we getting Silvagni? I think Reef might need a year or two to really establish himself as a key defender. That's still a very, very big question mark, Dom, around Reef McInnes' name. So you bring in do you want to bring in a Jack Silvagni who's proved himself in the AFL to be able to play multiple different positions, which we love at the Collingwood Football Club. Fly is an absolute sucker for players who can play multiple different positions. Silvagni can play in the back line, he can play and pinch hit in a ruck, and he can play in the forward, so you can swing him around as needed. Has that worked out for Dan McStay? No. Sometimes throwing around a player, they don't like that, but you've seen Jack Silvagni have that ability to change his mindset. Jeremy Howe does that very well. He can go from forward to back and back to forward quite swiftly. Jack Silvagni's had a really good year playing for Carlton in those 13 limited games that he played. He's versatile. He's good by foot. He's probably better than Reef McInnes by foot. He's definitely going to be a better contested mark aerial duelist than Reef McInnes. Like, Reef is at this point in time a stopgap, whereas Jack Silvagni can really be an important pillar in our back half for years to come. He'll be 29 next year. Who's to say he can't play till 32, 33, 34, 35? Reef had 3 games as a defender and he has to come back from his ACL. He's a year off at least. Exactly. So you throw in the fact that he's actually recovering from an ACL still. You say he needs it's one thing, right? It's one thing to come back from an ACL and return to your usual position. That can take a year, sometimes 18 months. But for someone to come back from an ACL who was in the midst of a transition positionally, it's an even bigger ask. So I think it's going to take some time. Reef signed a 2-year contract, I believe. Now, with the fact that he's changing positions and he's had an ACL, the 2-year contract can make sense. In my eyes, I would have given him just the 1, but I think 2 years is what we settled with anyways. Silvagni hasn't established himself, proved himself. I think he has. I think he's been in the system long enough. I think with what you saw this year from Jack Silvagni, you cannot not take the chance to secure someone of his ability in the back line. There is nobody on, and to add to that, there is hardly anyone that is available in the market outside of perhaps a Stephen May. Lee Collier is probably going to St Kilda. Who else is there? Who else is there then? And he's a unrestricted free agent. So all we have to give up is a bit of coin. And because we are the Collingwood Football Club and the other 2 options are the Western Bulldogs and the Essendon Football Club, who have problems in their own right, we can get him for a bargain. Reef was okay as a forward. He should be the new hyphen, not a defender. Well, if you want to be the new hyphen, you have to have defensive ability because Will Hoskins has played in the back line at times, that's for sure. Mark Neville, welcome. You're very unfair on Mason Cox. You should be criticising Dan McStay, who has had a shocking year. When have I made excuses for McStay? I felt like I've made some rationale. I've looked through different lenses when it comes to how Dan McStay has gone this year. I feel like throwing him around in different positions hasn't helped, but I'm not excusing him for the poor second half of the year he has had. I was never a big fan of him going in the ruck. I think he needs to play the 1 position. That's what I said all pre-season. He's been poor, but do I think he's going to be dropped? No. And is he going to be dropped for Mason Cox, who's had probably an even worse year than McStay? What are you going to choose from? He's going to play. How do you make those things? I think somebody else just asked that question as well. Hawk Tim, how do you make the black things? Guys, if you want a Canva tutorial, come on, this is not the place, huh? This is this takes a bit of time, okay? This takes a bit of time. I'm taking it off the screen. Pai should chase Wilkie. Nobody kicks jack shit on. He's already committed his loyalty to the St Kilda Football Club for the foreseeable future. Bulldogs might offer Jack Silvagni some cash, but he's also got some really good friends at the Collingwood Football Club, the Dacosses, Dan Houston. It's a massive club. Good deals by way of being a brand ambassador for certain products or companies or whatever it may be. So there's all that comes with being a part of the Collingwood Football Club. He's grown up as a Carlton player, as a Carlton fan. Maybe he does inherently lean towards the spotlight as a player. You want to play in the big games, or do you want to go to the Western Bulldogs where you're going to play in front of 30,000 most weeks? The money he can get at the Doggies, we can probably make up for it in brand ambassador opportunities. Only a Jordan Butts could be in the market. Was playing good for the Crows, but they brought in Murray. That's an option. I remember speaking about Jordan Butts in the pre-season as an option, but was he from Melbourne? I need to clarify this. He's from Goulburn Valley, so he's from the country. He's from the country, isn't he? 99 born, 25 years old, Goulburn Valley Grammar School. That's an option. He was recruited from the Murray Bushrangers. That could be someone who might want to find his way back to Melbourne. Question is, what is his contract status? So he's 25. He was drafted 6 years. If he's not within the 25%, he could be an unrestricted free agent. Let's have a look. No, he's a restricted free agent, guys. He's a restricted free agent because he would be in the club's top 25% earnings, which would force a trade unless the Crows wouldn't match the offer. Thing is, if a club came, would they match an offer to get a trade? They probably would, the Crows. If a club came across and offered something on the table for Jordan Butts, I think the Crows would match it to force a trade. That's Why have we forgotten about Harvey Harrison? We haven't. He's just been injured. So What do you want to what do you want to talk about on the topic of Harvey Harrison? May is an infinitely better option as a defender than Silvagni at his best. Well, like that's fair. Like Stephen May is at his best one of the best defenders in the league. Why can't Jack Silvagni be that? But the big difference is age. Stephen May slowing down. He'll be 34 next year, guys. 34. That's a bit of a stretch. I know we love our geriatrics at the Collingwood Football Club, but Jack Silvagni, 28 to 29, is probably something we would prefer given our existing age demographic at the Collingwood Football Club right now. So while I understand where you're coming from, he's also a restricted free agent until the end of next year. Stephen May, a restricted free agent. So we'd have to trade for him as well. Now, would you have to give up much for him? Probably not, but we don't really have much draft capital in the first place. So maybe he's better suited to a Western Bulldogs. And like, would Stephen May really come to the Collingwood Football Club after the amount of to and fro's we've had with that man? Flights are over $800 for the game. Nice language. What happened, Mace? Impressive. Very nice. What's nice? What about considering Lever from Melbourne? He's another player we can consider. He's actually not as old as I thought he was, Jake Lever. He's 29 years old, so he'll be 30 next year. Once again, though, he only this year or last year extended to 2028. So we'd have to force a trade. Do we have the draft capital to even put a trade forward, especially with the players we need to secure in the national draft in McGuan and McCarthy, more importantly, at this point in time? I don't think we can afford Jake Lever. And I'm sure Melbourne would not want to lose Stephen May and Jake Lever in the same trade window. Certainly not. Like they're not trying to they're not trying to rebuild, and if those two players leaving, it certainly suggests or indicates a rebuild, and then that's just going to upset the apple cart. It's going to Petrarca, if he's not asking questions already, Max gone. It's going to cause issues. We need to look at 25-year-olds ready to go. Find me one end times. Jake Lever is a better option. I just made a point, those two. We can't afford him, mate. We can't afford him with the draft capital that we have. Is Ryan Burton cooked? I always thought he was a decent player, but just got delisted. He is, but he's also like he's a medium-sized defender. We already have. Oh, what's happened here? We already have a bunch of players at his height, do we not? And if he's not, guys, if Ryan Burton is not playing at the Port Adelaide Football Club, who have had a horrible year, then maybe he's not the right option for the club, right? He's 6'3", but I don't think he defends very well. So he would be probably looked at as a medium-sized defender either way. And if we already have Quaynor, Perryman, Braden Maynard, you got Reef McInnes who's still there. I don't think Burton would be the answer in delisted free agency. But as always, we'll keep a close eye on who is delisted over the course of the next few weeks, because maybe there is a diamond in the rough. Maybe there is a Tim Membry out there somewhere. Do you reckon we'll trade for anyone? I know it's a bit early. It's so hard to gather an idea of what we will have on the trade table available for us with our existing picks. We probably need a... what were the AFL key postseason dates? Let's have a look. So I've got it here. Trade periods in October. Draft is November. So yeah, it's risky business dealing with trades as the black and white this year, because we do have to be mindful of we need to take some picks into the draft in November. What about May? We talked about May, didn't we, Matty Mac? We talked about May like 5 minutes ago. Sam Frost from Hawthorn, status cast, available, contracted, out of contract. He hasn't gotten a game in how long? Let's have a look. Sam Frost. Probably once again, maybe not the player. So extended to the end of 2025. Footy wire. Here we go. Out of contract at the end of 2025. Maybe he's an unrestricted free agent. Let's go here. Go Hawthorn. Sam Frost, non-free agent, so you'd have to trade for him. So probably not someone on our list. Look, he'd be worth it. He'd probably even get delisted. He's out of contract. He will be delisted. He's a player we could look at. How old is he? 33 though. Again, like that's the thing. I think with what we already have, like he's 31, 32. Go 33. I don't know. He's not getting a game. Like they're not good signs. Could we get lucky with bringing him to the club? Maybe, but then you're working with the fact that he's just not a great ball user. And in this current economy in the AFL and the way the game is played, you need good ball users. Doesn't matter what height, what size, what role you play. You have to use the ball well. Mitch McGovern? No. I like Silvagni because we can get 5 to 6 years. He's in the perfect category for us, really. Malman, I think you're off the mark here with the Jack Silvagni call. 29-year-old that is at best playing 13 games a season, who is an average defender, is not the answer here. I think you're putting on the blinkers, mate. I think you're looking through the microscope and you're not trying to make too much sense of it. You see 29. Okay, so he's 28 going 29 next year. He's had 13 really good games off the back of an ACL, which is impressive. He's an unrestricted free agent. Won't cost us much. Versatile. Keeps us in the premiership window. Probably has, if he chooses to, if things go well, knock on wood, he has another 5-6 years in him. You're looking at this the wrong way, my friend. We have to, yeah, it's fine. We can always, look, this is what we're here for at the end of the day, Mal, man. We can agree to disagree, and you know what? Time will be the best teller, won't it? Do a survey? All right, let's do it. I'll do it, Matthew. I mean, it's going to be like, if I had to guess, do we want, I'm going to say it's going to be 80-20 yes. 80% yes, 20% no. The question is, do we want Silvagni at the Pies? It's going to be, given the context, I think it's going to be 80% yes. I'd be very surprised if it's anything less. There you go, Matthew. Silvagni plays 13 games for us this year and we finished top. Bang. Laverde doesn't intrigue me a great deal. We could have got him last trade period, but we didn't. He's not very enticing, but maybe he wants out. They're going to go through a rebuild. Could he be a stopgap? I think we've already got a few stopgaps. We've got Reef, we've got Billy. Billy Frampton's been more than a stopgap this year in his defense. I think we need top caliber defenders now, not these middle of the pack players. And I think Jack Silvagni is more than a middle of the pack player. Yeah, that's right, Mark. There really aren't. There's not a great array of options of key defenders between those age brackets you've suggested. Can we get a first and a second for Bobby? I'd like to think that Bobby's worth at least a first and a second. If that's where we end up going with that conversation, I'm probably still reluctant to have that thought in my mind. He's a contracted player. Yes, there's things going on in his world, but let's let that play out over the next couple of months, and then we can go from there. Yeah, we can look. Like I said, we can look at some possibilities with Bobby Hill, but do we really want to go through that now, guys? Of all things, do we really want to have that conversation? If you want to have the conversation, we'll have the bloody conversation of where he could go and what we could get back in return. But I don't want to manifest that. I don't want to manifest Bobby Hill leaving the Collingwood Football Club. Okay, 76% to 24%. But Bobby is definitely, Josh, Bobby at the very least is worth at least a first round draft pick. He's a top 5 small forward in the league. See, Voido, Jimby is not a key defender. He's played on key forwards this year, but that's just through other key defenders not being ready to assume that role. Jimby is a halfback flanker, medium-sized defender. he's more a Braden Maynard type of player more than anything. He's playing undersized against more key opposition this year. Tracy. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. We will see you tomorrow. We'll do another Pies presser. Before you leave, if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. We do stream. I say every day, but we stream 5 to 6 days a week at the very least. So if you're enjoying this, stick around and subscribe. We're going to have a massive final series and an even bigger post-season conversation. So thanks for sticking around, guys. And as always, go Pies.